Okay, a quick unboxing of 2 items today, and of course this came in first, which is Mass Drop. From Mass Drop, no, it's not Mass Drop, it's from Mass Drop, and it's the Glycine Airman 18. I had the DC4, which I really like, but I always wanted to go with a smaller size. So it came at least about 2 weeks earlier than I was supposed to, which is great. Because with Mass Drop, you always usually have to wait a certain period. It's not immediate satisfaction, but there you go. It's this is the purest version. It should be 30 or is it 39 millimeters, somewhere around that parts. But yeah, my DC4 is black dial, and it had a very vintage appeal to it. But I always wanted to go something smaller, and these look great in these smaller sizes. I'll just peel this off real quickly. It's already running. Switch out of movement. Actually, it was a Salida. It might be a Salida. Oh, either way, it's basically the same thing. And we'll have to see how accurate this is, but I'm going to go over this in more detail later. But basically, I wanted the smaller sizes. Was probably truer to the original ones from around the Vietnam era, and kind of looks more like the one in the photo that I have of a Vietnam pilot and a Ford pilot, and with this on the wrist. And I'll probably bring a picture of that back up in a posting later. And yeah, I just wanted it closer to truer to size, and I can't find or let alone afford the Airman #1, which is even more better representation of the original. Just some dial details, and the case shape is actually a little bit different, especially the lugs. I think they're actually even straighter, and they're drilled. And if I'm not mistaken, it might even be smaller, maybe even a 36. And the only other one that's sort of close to that one is, I think there's an Airman 2000, which is pretty darn close to this, but I believe it is actually a 42 millimeters, but it does have drilled lug holes. And I was surprised, but I thought all these ones that had the older logos, at least right up here, I thought that was all pre-Invicta, and I thought all of those, from what I think I saw, they thought they all had drilled lug holes, and then after that they stopped doing that for some reason. I really wish they would have kept the drilled lug holes. Very much match the tool aesthetics, and this is a bit of a strap monster too, so it would have been nice to have had that. But for the price that you can get these for in Mass Drop, for I think it's about $600 or so, not too much to complain about. And I got this one with the leather strap. I think the other option may be a NATO. Unfortunately, these ones, they don't have bracelet options, not that I'm aware of, and that's the only thing that's missing. But that's fine. These look better on basically look better on a leather strap or a NATO anyways, but I always like to have a bracelet option if possible. And the other reason why I went for this, besides the size, is though I like the red date on the DC4, I didn't really care for the Cyclops over this area, for it cleaner, although probably with my eyesight it would functionally it would have been better, but this is still large enough. And to be honest, the other one was the GMT version with that fourth hand, and basically it's a 12-hour dial with the GMT hand, and you could basically track up to 3 time zones, but I really don't need 3 time zones. I don't travel that much and need to keep track of that many places. If I do, if you need more than 2, like my friend said, you might as well get a world timer and track way more cities than just 2 or 3 locations, right? I would suggest people do that. Also, if you're in the market for a dual time, basically watch, or something with more time zones is you only need two. You don't travel that much. You only need to travel your local time and your home time or whatever. Something like this would be plenty. It doesn't have to be like this 24-hour dial, sorry. But you could do a 12-hour and just a second time zone with the bezel. But if you want to track more than 2 time zones, I think it is a lot smarter if you look for a world timer and just get all the other, get the world at your disposal, and why fuss with 3 time zones, right? You just can glance at anything at one point with the world timer. So, anyways, I think that's it for now. I'll go into this more detail later. Set that aside. And happy Monday. I got an order from Nomon watches over in Singapore, and I thought that I wasn't mistaken, but they do sometimes offer free things such as the cable cloth. The cleaning cloth is usually with them, and some certain watches they offer a free strap, and they gave me a NATO. And I don't have this color, luckily, and which is fine because actually this will work with my Seiko speed timer being 20 millimeters. Even though the speed timer is 19, I could squeeze it in there, and I think these red, white, or silver, and gray, and blue works well with that particular one. If you know the watch that I have, the 6139 silver dial, that would be pretty cool. But I don't know if this will actually work with the watch that I got today from Nomon, which is this ship fast as heck. Of course, another Seiko. You know, I can. Oh, this kind of gives it away, doesn't it? And we got a thank you. Oh, this is new. And we have here. You have this thing to. That's a new card, thank you card, and you got these cards here to help you figure out what the strap size is. Just stick it in there. You know what? And I'll talk about this in a moment, but I'm surprised. A lot of these newer watches seem to be trying to hold on to a 20 millimeter size, which is kind of surprising given the size of the watch. For instance, this guy, this SRP C61, I believe it's a 61K1. This is a 44 millimeter diameter and about 45 to lug, maybe 47 if you count all the way to the tip, but if you time the spring bars, it's about 45. And I always thought for something, most watches over 42 millimeters, especially from Seiko, I've always had 22 millimeter lugs. And someone had mentioned, the strap looks kind of small for this watch. And I was like, you're tripping. It's 22, same as everything else. And I mistakenly assumed because it was 44 over 42 millimeters that this has to be a 22, and it's not. Because that other strap I got from Nomon, I kind of put it up to this watch for some reason, just to see what size it is. And I said, wait a minute, this is the same size as this strap, which is 20 millimeters. And so I just found that out recently. Actually last night. I only had this watch for less than a week, or about a week, and yeah, I was surprised. And for this watch in here, the new what is this? Yeah, it's just some safety things so you don't goof up how to set the time. Never set it between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. the date. You're gonna jack up your watch that way. Got the warranty cards. They're an authorized dealer, although pretty much anything not sold in the United States, it's not really going to be honored by Seiko anyways. You have to go through either your retail seller, or if you hit the gray market or something else, basically you're shit out of luck. So anyways, and there we go, JDM model, and this is an exclusive from Nomon, because this version of the SBDC063, which has the nice blue bezel, is doesn't usually come, or does not come, not usually, does not come with the bracelet. It's usually only available on the rubber strap. The black version, black bezel, black dial version, the 061 does. And so people have been buying both and swapping them just for the bracelet. And maybe some places you can get this separate, but I'm pretty sure it's expensive. And so Nomon is the only one that I know of, and supposedly that's why they say it's their exclusive, that carry, they sell a version of, they have the rubber strap version, but they also carry this for a bit more. It's about $840 with the bracelet, which is what this looks best on. And I always try to get any diver, especially if not any watch, on a bracelet first. Anything else you can always buy afterwards. And sometimes they don't sell these separately. Two, if you do buy it separately, can get it separately, it's probably going to cost more than if you bought it with the watch. And those are the main things. And you can see here, they say this is a little bit different than the 62 Moss reissue that's got the same hands. That isn't the $4,000 one. It's the one that's like about 900-ish, depending what options or where you get it from. You know which one I'm talking about. It has a blue dial. It's the SBDC063, and it has a blue bezel, which almost looks like this, but from what Bruce Williams, he also reviewed this watch, has said this bezel is a little bit different than that one. I think this one's a little darker, or the other way around, but they're not exactly the same. And let's take a look at this real quickly. Always, there's been some people who've been complaining about the alignment issue of the bezel, but as well, not the bezel, but the chapter ring. That's always a point of fear or being scared when you order from a new Seiko diver, especially with the chapter ring like this on the outside, on the hot, is what they call it, hot, H-A-U-T-E. Anyways, we just call it chapter ring, easier to say. This one looks, get this in focus, looks pretty darn good with everything. So I would say I lucked out, because I know some people have gotten some, but it's been a little bit off. Damn it, Seiko, you still got these issues. I know there's some tolerance. This thing isn't a perfect fit. There's a little key and hole type of deal that the bezel works, and it's pretty tight, but there is some gap, and so it can shift around during the rest of the, I guess, the watch install, and so that's why some of these come shifted. But even if it was, I wouldn't have been too worried about, because I am planning to switch out these hands to the Marine Master 300 ones. I don't really care for this handset. It's just like the one from the 053, and I believe it's basically what the Tuna has. So, you know, something like this, I really would like to have a different watch model have their own set of hands, right? You don't want to have them have, you know, rehashing the same thing from another model necessarily, unless you particularly like them. Maybe you do, but in this case, they're not bad, but the Marine Master ones are better. They're just straight. You know what the Marine Master 300. Let's see if I got it on screen here. I'm gonna try to open up a window here. Okay. In the meantime, yeah. That's the main thing I'm going to change out. It's going to look better. I think it's brushed too, and the pip is on the end. And since they call this most popularly dubbed as the Marine Master 200, because it's 200 meters, but the rest of the case is basically like the Marine Master 300, but actually slimmer, and maybe a tad smaller too. I think maybe it's the same 44, or is it the Marine Master 300? A little bit thicker, or wider diameter wise. But yeah, I like the fact that it has drilled lug holes. And here we go. Let me see if I can lift this up without dropping the camera. And you can see here, these hands in the Marine Master, I think look a lot better. So I'm going to swap them out. Brush all silver. The pip is at the end, which this doesn't matter too much to me, but I think it does make more sense and look better if you can get it at the end. But I have a number of Seikos where the pip is in the back. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I'm going to switch it out so it'll look closer to that. And I think that'll look pretty tight. And yeah, hopefully that should come in by the end of the week. Today's Monday, so it's possible. If not, I mean, it's coming in from Hong Kong, so it may come early or sometime next week. But I will see how this runs in the meantime, and probably get this all sized and enjoy it until that day. So that's a quick look at what I have today here. My new MM200. Too many boxes here. Glycine Airman 18. This is the all black version with black dial. They offered that blue gradient one with the blue fill and the steel bezel. I really wanted that one originally, but I kind of fell out of favor with it. It's a beautiful watch. I really like that tone, but A, my friend has basically that style, so I wanted something different, and B, I kind of, after the DC4, I kind of go when it comes to the matte black dial, and just keeping it monochromatic for this, just to be more, you know, it has more of a vintage flavor. Once you start throwing in all those colors all over it, it does make it more modern and less vintagey. And I wanted this to give it more of an old school feel, and so I just kept it plain with the black, you know, colors and nothing else. And that's it. Got my 2 watches and my homemade pork barbecue sandwich and Pringles. All I need on a Monday, right? All right. Take it easy. And look out for some more videos on these once I probably modify the hands, or maybe somewhere in between I might give an update on how this is doing. And same with this one. I'm not going to modify the hands, but I will definitely try it on different straps and just give you how this has been performing. And usually Glycines have been pretty accurate, and I haven't had much issues with them running really good. Not much to complain about. And don't believe the Invicta hype. They have nothing to do with how these are built anymore, or these days rather. They still do their own thing, and the quality is just as good as it is now as it was back then. I think I can't see any problem whatsoever in terms of the build and the performance, and you know, that's a good watch. All right, that's it.